New laws have come into effect across Australia that make it mandatory for all children up to the age of 7 to be fastened in a child restraint or booster seat when travelling in a car. But there appears to be a lot of confusion among parents about how to best protect their children. A study has found that more than 80% of parents use the wrong seat or don't use the seat correctly, or both. In about 1/3 of cases, their mistakes could significantly increase a child's risk of injury. Timothy McDonald reports.
Edwina Gross and Duncan Barrett have 2 daughters and 2 child restraints in the back seat of their car. The seats were professionally fitted, but an expert eye can still spot a few mistakes.
When Miffy was in that seat facing backwards, someone rear-ended us and, it was quite a big impact.
She never even woke up.
Yeah, Miffy was just asleep the whole time. She was so snug in that seat.
Yeah, but because the seat is so snug up against the back of the seat here, and her head's starting to get close here, I'd actually think seriously, she's 14 months old, her neck muscles and everything are definitely strong enough for her to turn around. Okay. But this really isn't the type of problem that we see in the majority of cases isn't keeping kids too long in one type of restraint. That's erring on the side of caution. It's the problem of moving them on too soon, which carries more risk of injury. I think in Erin's case, she's ready to turn around.
That's Dr. Julie Brown from Neuroscience Research Australia. She's the report's author and a leading authority on the use of child restraints. The new research found that parents often get it wrong.
1/3 of children were using the wrong sort of restraint for their size, and 1/3 of children were using the restraint incorrectly, and another 20% of children were doing both. In terms of the really serious forms of incorrect use, like leaving their arms out of the harnesses, or even sometimes we saw seatbelts that weren't actually buckled up, so they were passed through the restraint but they weren't actually buckled up. We saw that in about 1/3 of cases. We saw it more often in the dedicated restraints, like rearward facing and forward facing seats, and particularly in convertible seats.
Julie Brown says using the wrong seat or strapping a child in the wrong way can greatly increase the risk of injury in a crash.
If your child's using a booster seat and they have their arm out of the sash, in a crash the seatbelt actually loads the soft part of the abdomen, which is exactly what you don't want it to be doing.
Edwina Gross says it's often difficult for parents to know if they're doing everything correctly.
When you do hear the statistics, they're so terrible. And everyone's got a horror story about, someone they know or whatever. But, I'm not surprised that people use them incorrectly because, especially what you were saying about, kids taking the straps off and all of that. I've turned around and seen Miffy pulling her arms out of the, because she does it in the pram and we let her do it in the pram.
Julie Brown says laws that came into effect this month are aimed at getting people to use more appropriate restraints and will hopefully save some of the 70 to 80 children who die in car crashes each year. But the study suggests that educating the public could be a difficult task and says the traffic authorities in each state must focus their campaigns on correct usage.
Timothy McDonald reporting.